Hello everybody. A lot of people in the Souls-like community have been asking me for my take on No Rest for the Wicked, which is a top-down isometric Souls-like that has come out very recently, done by Moon Studios, the people who brought you stuff like Ori and the Blind Forest. I'm about 25 hours into the game right now, playing on and off stream, and I think it's fair at this point for me to say this game has potential to be one of the best Souls-like games ever. And I'd love to explain why that is, especially if you're into PvP, by the way. So what is this game? So yeah, it's a top-down isometric Souls-like. When you play it, it is going to feel exactly like a Souls-like game, but from a different camera angle. It has super visceral combat, great animations, a very unique art style that reminds me a lot of Studio Arcane stuff from the game series Dishonored, where the characters have kind of weird proportions, but it just like looks really cool with the really interesting art style. The cinematics often remind me of Arcane, the movie, or excuse me, TV show that was done for the League of Legends universe. Yeah, again, very stylistic, very cool, very interesting. It has a really interesting story as well. I don't really want to say anything because the story moves along quite quickly and has lots of interesting twists and turns, so I recommend that you just like try it out and see the story for yourself, but I really like the story so far. The best way of shortly describing what it is a game like Diablo and a game like Souls having a baby. And honestly, it reminds me in a lot of ways of Neo and Neo 2. When you are going through the game, you're going to get semi-randomized drops. So like enemies will drop their gear, but randomized versions of it. And there's like common, rare, gray, blue, purple, yellow, like rarities. And then each of these rarities will have different like percentages or different like passives that come along with it. I am not normally a fan of this kind of loot. I tend to stay away from ARPGs. However, seeing the ways that these different passives fundamentally change builds was eye-opening and really exciting for me. So just as an example, I started in my playthrough, I just so happened to start getting a few rares, and every single rare that I found had deal X amount of damage on parry. So every time you get a successful parry, I ended up dealing like 50 damage or something per parry. So it's just so interesting because the randomized loot basically incentivizes you to try a specific build. So there were enemies who I would just literally one-shot if I got a successful parry, or I would do big chunks of damage. And just, I'm really excited to see where all of the different builds are going to be. And I'm excited for the idea of like in the late game part of this game, kind of farming and like getting all of these different sets of gear for like a parry build, a heavy weapon build, a light weapon build, a magic build. And it has kind of all the variety that you would expect in a Souls-like. There are magic builds, dex builds, strength builds, faith builds, and again, like lots of different opportunities. I've only just kind of touched the first 25 hours, just so much build making. Is it going to be more grindy than your traditional Souls-like? Yes, obviously. But it's fun. It's fun to do that grind, so it's not that bad. And I also felt like the pacing of what you get in return felt really good. This combines with another mechanic that they have, which is basically town upgrades. So you reach a main town eventually in the story, and the town is in shambles because it's been kind of fighting this constant war. So your character has the opportunity to go collect resources, bring them back to town, and then upgrade stuff. So you can upgrade the shops, you can buy a house, and you can like furnish and customize your own house. You can build like shortcuts in town so that it's easier to get through town. It's just really awesome. It's just like all of those different upgrades feel super meaningful. They don't feel very grindy. I would go out, do a quest, come back, and I would generally have enough upgrades to and materials to upgrade one thing in town, and then also kind of like upgrade my character as well. Yeah, it's so good. It's so good. I would give this thing an easy 9 or 10 out of 10 in terms of level design as well. Each of the areas that you go through feels intensely interconnected in exactly the way you would expect from a Souls-like game. There's some rumors on the internet that are saying that it's procedurally generated. It is not. It is a set map. It has specific design. If there are procedurally generated areas, I haven't found them yet. All of this combined with the fact that there is the next update that's coming out in early access is the multiplayer update, which includes a completely seamless co-op experience and PvP. To me, this is a very, very exciting game that's worth getting and worth investing in for the Souls-like fan. If you don't like the camera angle, you know, it is what it is. I understand. There are just some things with certain games that just don't jive with people. Personally, I like being able to see my surroundings more. I feel less like I'm getting snuck up on. Yeah, it's just, I like being able to see more of the game and appreciate more of the art style. People have generally been mad about things like repair costs and the fact that your gear degrades when you die. I don't think this is a problem. I think the developers, in a hotfix that came out today, they have lessened the amount of damage that happens to your gear and lessened the cost to repair your gear. I personally would warn against this. I think the damage to your equipment and the upgrade costs are a great punishment for death. Because in other Souls-like games, you lose all of your money when you die. So you're forced to constantly be spending it. And I don't see any difference between that and this. This is actually even better because I can actually choose. If I have a second set of gear, I can just throw on the second set of gear that hasn't been broken. And I know people get really attached to their gear, but that's kind of the point. I don't know. I think wimping out on the damage to weapons and the upgrade costs is a mistake. I think they should. I want to play it. I haven't played it yet today to see how much they've nerfed it, but please don't nerf it too much. It's a good punishment in a Souls-like game. It's good. Players should be punished for dying. Okay, so this is just the section where I'm going to give some basic feedback, some basic criticisms. I don't have a ton of criticisms, to be totally honest. I think the game is really great. It scratches a lot of itches that I have. I have a few suggestions based on the game as it currently is, and then I have a few suggestions just for the future, things that are going to be really important to make this game relevant when it comes to co-op and PvP. So my first feedback is, please make upgrade materials usable from storage. Right now, if you store upgrade materials at your house or in the community chests, which are two different chests, the community chest anyone in your multiplayer session can access. Multiplayer is not enabled yet, but I'm assuming that's what its future purpose will be. Please let us, like when you go to the blacksmith and you go to upgrade your weapon, please let us use materials directly from storage. We don't want to run back to our house, grab the specific materials, run back to the blacksmith, upgrade, run back, put them back. No thank you. Get rid of all that. We don't need that. The only other real feedback that I would have is earlier on in the gameplay experience, I suggest introducing players to a sort of target dummy style enemy. I think this is often something that's missing in Souls-like games. Before the first boss, there should be a sort of dummy type character who he'll attack the player but deal no damage. And he should use a wide variety of different moves just to allow the players to experiment with some of the systems. I don't understand why Souls-like, they did this in Sekiro. I don't know why this isn't a standardized feature. Please let us do this. Let players practice, you know, parry timing on an enemy that's not going to die and is not going to kill them. Go into an area that gives them infinite focus, you know, so that they can like try all of their different abilities. If they get a new weapon, they want to go there, try out all the different abilities and stuff without having to, you know, recharge focus, that kind of stuff. Yeah, this is the kind of co-op and PvP section. I know that that's the next update that you guys are working on. Number one, please do not use a peer-to-peer online connection. Please, if you are going to use a peer-to-peer system, please use one of the many advanced algorithm-based peer-to-peer connectors that uses algorithm-based interpretation, things like rollback, or I forget the name of the other one, but it's the one where there's like an algorithm that interprets packets that are supposed to be coming and then shows that on both players' screens. Anything other than just a standard peer-to-peer connection, please. The Souls-like community hates the peer-to-peer connections that we get in Elden Ring, for example. Please fix it. If you guys haven't watched the PvP community's feedback on Elden Ring in terms of its connections and stuff, I would highly recommend watching some of those videos. It's a massacre, and it's bad for co-op as well. So either give us servers, Dedicated servers is obviously the best, but any sort of anything more advanced than just straight up peer-to-peer connections, please use some sort of anti-cheat in your game once the PvP drops. This is extremely important for multiple reasons. It is important to prevent griefing. It is important to keep the integrity of your game intact. It's very, very, very important that players are able to, like, your game is based around randomized loot. If players can cheat to have the best gear possible, then it fundamentally ruins that element of the game. So yes, some form of anti-cheat is going to be extremely important for the continued health of the game. I also, if possible, I recommend running some sort of anti-cheat that can check for, you know, edited equipment or illegal equipment or things like that are going to matter in terms of this thing having a long lifespan, especially when it comes to PvP. My initial thoughts about this game. This is, again, given 25 hours. I don't know all of the details quite yet. This is a definite recommendation from me to you to try this game. It is on sale right now. It's like 40 bucks or something Canadian. If you are a Souls fan, if you are a Diablo fan, I think that this game is excellent, and I think it can only get better with time. My only real criticism of the game at this point is that it seems to be not very long. There's about 25 hours of gameplay according to the developers, and we just need more. We are gonna need more. We want more. So that if you are hesitant to try and pick up this game, that is the major reason that I would personally suggest that you stay away from it. The last note to add here is that people have reported on various kinds of setups. They've reported having problems with performance. I have had a few frame rate dips. I can see that the game is kind of struggling to run in certain settings. I would just check. This is the kind of thing you can just get it. You can run it on your setup, and if it's lagging, return it and kind of wait for the next update when some performance patching comes. Aside from the kind of those two caveats, it's short and there's been some performance issues noted. Everything else, to my taste, has been excellent. So it's definitely a recommend to me. I would even go so far as to say I think this has all of the sort of necessary systems and ideas to be one of the greatest Souls-likes of all time. If the story goes in a great and satisfying direction, if the gameplay, if co-op and PvP are well implemented, if the sort of town upgrade structure continues going and offers like a meaningful kind of upgrades throughout the whole lifespan of the game, this has, again, it has all the meat, in my opinion, to be one of the greatest Souls-likes of all time. Okay, so those are my initial thoughts about the game. Thanks so much for watching, guys. If you guys want to hit like and subscribe on the video, I would always really appreciate it. It really helps out the channel. I stream 5 days a week on Twitch, so if you want to watch me play this game and other games like Elden Ring, go and check out the Twitch as well.
Hello, Tarnished. Consider clicking that like button and absolutely annihilating that subscribe button because TheKoop is based. Ranny out.